Hello, runners, and welcome to our HSS Coaches Chats. I am so excited to be here. My name is Coach Annick Lamar, and I'm a coach with the New York Road Runners. But we have an amazing guest for you today. And as always, it's our friends from the Hospital for Special Surgery. And today we have physical therapist Ashleigh McAdam. So, Ashleigh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it is. We are talking about strength training, and you are going to be our perfect expert for today. But as always, runners in the chat, feel free to ask your questions, your comments, give feedback to what we're talking about. This show is for you, so we want your engagement as always. You can tell us where you're tuning in from or anything of that nature. But let's kick it off. Ashleigh, can you tell us a little bit about what you do at the Hospital for Special Surgery?
So I am a clinical specialist at Hospital for Special Surgery in Paramus, New Jersey. I am dual board certified in orthopedics and geriatrics. So I work with patients all across the lifespan, some post-operative, some non-operative, on getting them back to function and pain-free.
And let's just jump right into it. Let's talk. Strength training is sometimes something that runners don't think that they need, but we know that's not true. As a coach, I love it. As a physical therapist, I'm sure you love it. Can you talk to us about why it's so important to have a good strength training plan in your running routine?
So I think it's really important to address the importance of strength training physiologically and the why behind why we do it. So strength is important across all activities, running being one in our focus for today. But our body naturally goes through these physiological changes at much earlier ages than we think. And in one area is muscle and strength. So we begin to start losing lean muscle mass in our 20s and 30s. So by doing strength training, and that's why current physical activity recommendations are at least 2 days a week of strength training to overcome what's naturally going on physiologically in our bodies.
I love that because I think we're really talking about the science behind strength and why we need to build it. It's not from an aesthetic. It's not for specifically for runners. It's not about being able to do like a 1 rep max at like top lift. It's about maintaining the muscle mass you have and being strong as you age, which is so important as we always want to run for life. This is maybe one of the most common questions I get as a coach. When should a runner be doing strength work? Where in the training cycle? What should be hard days? What should be off days? What are your general recommendations for what that should look like for a runner looking to add strength work to their training schedule?
I think that that's a great question and a loaded question because it definitely depends. So, strength can kind of be viewed in general categories because we talked about, just like you said perfectly, like maintaining muscle mass. Like, if the goal is not for muscle bulk, there are definite variables and parameters we work in that you're getting strength to enhance and improve your running and not putting on more bulk, more weight, more mass. So, we have general strength to get stronger. Then there's power, quick, explosive movements, the ability to jump or hop and maneuver from one leg to the other. And then endurance, building up that strength over time that you can run longer, that your muscles have more endurance, that most importantly, reduce risk of injury. So going back to the question of how we implement it, what days, it really depends on that individual's goals. So an easy thing I like to teach my patients and people is the FIT principle of exercise, FITT. So if I'm building an exercise program, if we're doing strengthening, we look at F for frequency. How often are we doing it? So at least 2 days a week. I is intensity. How hard are we working? So I love that you referred to a 1 rep max. So 1 rep max is doing a movement that you can achieve that movement and kind of not have anything left in the tank to repeat it. So strength gains, if that's our goal to get stronger, that happens around 60 to 80% of a 1 rep max. Where if we're working on other things such as endurance or power, if we're doing something longer, we're going to use lighter intensity. So I think that that's a helpful variable when you're training, that if you're looking to do strengthening to maintain your strength, maybe you're doing it 2 days before going on a longer or a harder run, that you're really strategic about what you're doing with your strengthening and when you're doing it. And I know we're going to get into that a little bit later, what to look out for, and that will kind of help guide your intensity. T, what type of exercise? So, especially for running, I think compound movement strengthening is wonderful. So, squats, lunges, bridges, these are all movements that are incorporating multiple joints, multiple muscle groups, as opposed to more traditional isolated strengthening where you're doing bicep curls or tricep extensions, focusing on one muscle and just trying to grow that one area. And then time, for how long. And that's going to be depending on your intensity, how long you're going to be doing the strength training, how many muscle groups are you going to be addressing.
Yeah, I love this because and I think this is why athletes and runners are like, oh my goodness, especially if we're like natural endurance creatures, we're like marathoning sounds fun. We might not be the same mindset, which is strength training is fun. But the truth is, as a coach, I cannot be delighted by this topic because it means, this is how we, strengthen muscle, how we improve, how we improve our patterning and our motion control. And it's how we get stronger, right? So we can maintain a single leg motion like running, a single leg sport like running for 26.2 miles. So strength training is totally in the service of endurance running, but sometimes, it doesn't feel obvious. And then one thing is, we're going to talk about how do new runners, what should they be looking for when they do strength work? And I'm going to ask you that in a second, because what typically happens with any new component or sport, it's like, I call it like my brother's rule. And I love my brother, but he'll go out and start sprinting when he thinks he has to start running. And it's the same if, you go swimming, he like goes all out in the pool. And the same with strength training, it's like a lot of volume, a lot of intensity, many days a week. It's all too much, right? It's like the too much rule. And you get burned out after like 2 weeks because it's who wants to do that for 2 weeks. So if you have a runner who comes to you and they say, I want to start getting into strength work and I don't want to do the, Annick Lamar's brother rule, I don't want to do the too much rule. How do I integrate strength work into my plan that makes sense for me? What would you tell this runner?
So it definitely has to be meaningful to that individual and work within their life. So let's say we're starting with those initial compound movements to get their core stronger, their legs stronger. To your point about what they should look out for, I think that education piece is crucial. So I'll have my patient, my runner, do an exercise, and I'll always annoyingly ask, where do you feel it? Because I want to make sure it's addressing exactly where it should and not lead them and say, oh, are you feeling that, band walk in the outer part of your hips? I want to know, because then I know what I need to do to critique, modify, or do a whole different exercise in general that I'm addressing what I'm looking to address. So if you're starting a new program, you should be feeling it in that targeted muscle. You shouldn't be feeling it in your joints or pain. It should feel like muscle working. It's normal with strengthening to feel what we call delayed onset muscle soreness up to 24 to 72 hours later, that you can feel sore. And then in that period, rather than kind of, to your point, like keep going and doing it at 100%, giving your body time to rest, recover, stretch, hydrate, and get yourself back to baseline because your body is getting used to a new program. And then most importantly, if you're starting a program and you're starting to experience that pain or function and that pain or discomfort that's carrying over into your functional daily life, that's when you need to see the appropriate healthcare provider, consult your running coach, or go to your physical therapist so that they can take a look at what you're doing and modify accordingly.
Yeah, I think that's like such an essential key piece is that getting expertise, and there's a lot of area for strength training expertise, right? A lot of folks have this knowledge. So you can go to your physical therapist and get this knowledge, right? They're one of the best folks to help really, as you said, learn the movement correctly, because that's the thing that we're not, we should have probably said in the beginning, like, if you're not doing it, don't do it, right? That is like the caveat for all of this conversation, is that you need to be moving in the correct patterns and you need to be supporting your movement, or you do risk injury in strength training. So it's so important to partner with an expert if you're feeling lost. And then it's the thing that, you can learn a couple great movements and go off on your own. So it's not something that you need to do for the rest of your life with somebody, but you can just really learn movement patterns and excel in that way. Let's talk a little bit, because I think one of the barriers to strength training is a feeling, especially in New York City, that you got to go into the gym. And if you've ever had gym memberships, they are popular hopping. It's like a club in New York City. Like, you're in a club, you're waiting in a line for a machine. So often runners who spend a lot of time on the roads getting in their miles will opt out of going to a gym. So what does a good strength training program look like for someone doing it at home?
So luckily, with the intensity we're talking about within a running program, and if your goal is to maintain muscle, to work against those physiological changes and to reduce risk of injury, you really do just need a little bit of equipment. You can achieve so many of those goals just with using your body weight within those compound movements. So definitely a good strength program can be achieved at your home, outside, with little to no equipment. So compound movements that we're talking about, again, squats, lunges,
Yeah, no, this is
bridges.
lunges. What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think there was a delay.
What else? There
Oh,
was actually,
step
what else is there?
ups.
So lunges are like,
Stepping up, stepping down, using your stairs, using items around your house that if you're looking to use that light weight, use in doing more volume, more intensity, working on the endurance, or like the plyometrics, the ability to transition from one foot to the other seamlessly, you can easily use household items that are going to give you that good burn and feel that muscle working from home. So it's really just using things around your house and having a clear space, and being able to get down to the floor to incorporate a really comprehensive core strengthening program, as well as lower and upper body.
yeah, and you might know, you talk about getting on the floor, and I think this is one of those super important functional movements, just getting up and down, and being able to move throughout your day. So runners, if you're finding that you have limitations, like, you can go and you can run 10 miles, but getting up and down, and it will be beneficial to you. I don't know if I cut out there just then. Am I back?
You're back.
I think I'm back. Okay, I think I'm back. There we go. Yeah, so the point is, if you're finding that you have limitations in your movements in your daily life, I think it's wonderful if you can run 10 miles, but if you can't get up and down off the ground, or you can't do stairs, or you're having other mobility issues, strength training with a physical therapist is something that can help improve your ability to. So it's not just about, sport functioning. It really is about quality of life functioning as well. So I always say that to my runners. I'm like, I love that you can run, but tell me about how it feels to get, out of bed in the morning, or tell me how it feels to try and get off the ground. And that's what we need to improve as well. And that will improve your running too. All right, let's hop into it a little bit. I just want to do some shout outs, then we're going to get back to it, Ashleigh. But we have 2 shout outs. I want to say hello to Carmen. Thanks for joining us, Carmen, from Newark, New Jersey. We always love our New Jersey viewers. Member since 2014. Thanks, Carmen. And we have a hello from D-Riz, a hello from Hornell, New York. Thanks for joining us. And then hello from Mickey Mouse Town of Orlando, Florida, a frequent watcher of our show. So hello, thanks for joining us. Ashleigh, let's talk a little bit about how you would know a runner would need strength training. I talked a little bit about mobility issues. They they're limited in their mobility. So we would recommend they go see a physical therapist and figure out what's going on. How else do you know a runner needs to come see either a physical therapist or someone else to get stronger?
Definitely a big thing is pain. Having pain when they're running, having pain that's carrying over into their daily function, going up and down the stairs, getting up and down from chairs, getting up and down from the floor, as you said. Other signs is that if I have a runner that has a history of knee pain, if they start having swelling, or if their body is responding that they're upping their mileage and now they're having more soreness or swelling in different areas, or if they're looking to try to start a strengthening program and they're noticing certain movement things that are happening, that it's hard for them to keep their knees aligned facing forward in a squat and their knees are coming inward, or if they're going into a squat and their knees are coming so far forward that they feel imbalanced. These can all be kind of things that highlight taking a closer look at the movement and seeing if there are certain muscle groups that we need to be strengthening.
Yeah, that is so important. Is pain is telling us something, right? And we need to listen to pain. We say as coaches, there is no running through pain, right? And that includes just living through pain, right? It will impact your running. And so it's so important to take care of that. Switching gears ever so slightly, Ashleigh, can you talk to us about the core? What is the core? What body parts are we referring to? It's not just six pack. What do we mean when we say have a strong core?
So I'm sure everyone has heard about the core and core strengthening, but once again, getting back to the why and why is it significant? So the core is not just the six pack and looking at doing a zillion sit-ups. The core are several muscles that are the deepest attachment to your spine, and they work together to create a cylinder in the body, in the most center part of your body, that assists with transferring force elsewhere in your body while you're running, if you go to throw something. So those muscles are, we have the transversus abdominis, goes right onto your spine, your obliques, your pelvic floor, your diaphragm, the muscles that line your lower back. These are all such important muscles that go into stabilizing your center so you can run and do sports and use your appendages, your arms, your legs more effectively, efficiently, and to reduce risk of injury.
I had a strength coach who would always call this core area the soup can. If you think about it going all the way around, but it would be a soup can because I think we think of it's the front of our bodies and it is exactly this big and this wide and it's little. And so we just want to do crunches until we're blue in the face. And the idea of actually thinking about your core as something that wraps around you is a really important way to think about strength. How does the core help us with our running?
So I love that you said before that it's a single limb physical activity, because that really hits the nail on the head. Because if you break down running, there's rotation because we move in 3 different planes. It's recurring and it's repetitive for a very long time if we're talking about long distance running and marathon training on that single support. So I am very type A and structured, and I want to make sure that each time that one leg is accepting your body weight, that your core is strong enough and has the endurance to make sure that all things are lining up perfectly, that you're hitting the ground and being able to then propel and advance yourself forward using the right muscles and not borrowing from other areas of the body that you could feel that pain, that soreness we were talking about. So what happens is when you have adequate core strength, when your one leg hits the ground, having a stable core will make sure your pelvis is stable and staying in neutral. Whereas if there's some core weakness and you're tipping one way or the other, that can have implications on your hip, your knee, your ankle, your foot, your lower back, all those adjacent joints in the kinetic chain. So that's why core strengthening is so, so important in running and all physical activity.
Yeah, I think that's just the idea that if you're not strong, the area that will try and pick up the work will experience pain potentially, right? So if you're adjusting in any way, you're landing wrong, you're not having that stable foundation on single leg, you're going to feel it somewhere. It might be a place that you don't even anticipate. But I always feel it in my low back, just for how when I have a weak core or I'm coming back from injury. So just pay attention to your pain patterns, and definitely think about the role of strength work as prehab as well as rehabbing after an injury. What are some ways that we can strengthen the core area? What does that look like, and how can we debunk some of the traditional ways we think about getting a strong core?
So what I think is so great about core strengthening is you can apply it in so many different positions. So when I'm working with patients or runners, I'm making sure we're doing core strengthening on the floor, such as doing planks, side planks, more traditional exercises when we think about core. A big avenue of core strengthening that you can do in more upright positions are anti-rotation drills. This is where if you're standing perpendicular to your resistance, if I have a band to the right of me and I'm standing straight here and I'm applying the resistance forward and back with my movement, my core is stabilizing myself. I'm using those obliques and those core muscles that are keeping me oriented forward as opposed to pulling me toward my resistance. So those exercises could be done in standing, tall kneeling, which is being upright but having your knees bent, half kneeling, one knee down, one knee in front of you. Applying those exercises in all these different developmental positions is going to prepare your core to be adaptable and modify in other different demands and tasks you're putting it through functionally and during your training.
Yeah, it's thinking about how not just the core, as you said before, as an isolated unit. It's how can it really support functional movement, and all the ways that looks. I love it. Well, we're getting some questions in here. We're getting some shout outs. So let's get to our shout outs first, because Ashleigh, you have answers and they have questions. So let's make it happen. All right. And so we have hello from Dumont, New Jersey. I love it. So good to have you here. Dennis, we have hi from the Club Rise to Run. Club Rise to Run always is a big fan of us, so we are a big fan of them. So it's good to see you there as well. What's up? What's up from San Antonio? See you guys in 14 weeks, Eek. And I feel like Eek is just how my excitement is for all our marathoning. It's like, it's coming. Jesus, New York City Marathon is like around the corner, and we are all, the energy is like we're so excited for it. So you are right, Deb. Eek indeed. All right. Thank you for the opportunity to listen. You are great. Thanks for joining us. We think you're great too. So many good shout outs here. We have a hello from New Jersey, hello from the Bronx, hello from the Netherlands. I mean, like, name a more iconic trio: Bronx, New Jersey, and Netherlands. We have folks tuning in from everywhere. Hello, everyone. Thank you both so much. The information on core strength is great. I agree. Ashleigh is just an expert in this, so I love having Ashleigh on. And then hello from Beacon, New York. So awesome. Well, Ashleigh, I've got some questions for you. Okay, you ready for them?
Let's go. I love it.
All right. Our first question is from Volcano, and they ask, could leg extension make your leg run even more now? So talk to us about leg extension, and the idea of, and I can talk a little bit about stride length, but if you want to talk a little bit about what leg extension or how strength work might help with leg extension.
Perfect. So leg extension, so I'm going to take it to like using a leg extension machine. I'm going to read it as that. So that's kind of like what we talked about, like those isolated movements. So a leg extension is going to be great for quad strength. So quad strength, especially for your overall knee health, hip, and everything, is a great muscle to have strong relative to your body weight. So, in terms of choosing a group of muscles that will have good carryover in what you're doing in running, that's great. I think with leg extension, because of the isolation, you need to be wary about like that intensity, what we talked about, that if you're really going hard on the leg extension, how that can affect your run or maybe delaying your run so you recover from that workout, since it's not a compound movement involving multiple muscles, that it's just one. But I'd love to hear about the effects of that with stride length.
Yeah, I think we sometimes think about getting stronger. We think about having a longer stride, or you hear a lot of professional runners say they want better leg extension. Um, you know, as a coach, you don't really want to be altering your stride length too much. So you really want to be landing your foot landing right underneath you, pushing off. And sometimes your back leg needs a little bit more leg extension, but that's the sort of thing that you really want to partner with an expert on, right? They can inform you of if you're not getting the full range of mobility in your stride, and they can provide you with strength routines and exercises that would help get more extension. But I like your answer, Ashleigh. I think it really hits the points, especially about not doing a lot of strength work and then trying to go for a long run, which we've all tried to do and we've all paid the price. So I think that's a great answer. I have another one for you, and this is from Carmen. And the question is, Carmen's an older runner and tested positive for COVID on June 8th. It prevented them from running because they couldn't breathe while training. They gained 30 pounds in the past year, and they're slowly getting back to running, and breathing is hard. Any recommendations? So we're talking about the return to running. And that's how we're going to read that. It's returning to running. I'll give some running recommendations. If you want to give some strength recommendations, that'd be great.
So, definitely a lot happened, and I'm so happy you're getting back into your activity and your training. And, reading from this specific case, I'm reading the effects on the cardiovascular system, the lungs, the musculoskeletal system, your muscles, your joints. Definitely physical activity in general here is something that I wholeheartedly advocate for in a general speaking, getting back to being active, not overdoing it, and kind of listening to your body that you're getting back into activity. I would definitely listen to your body and kind of start out where you are in your baseline. There's something we use in PT called the rate of perceived exertion. This is something that can help you with intensity. So for example, if you're doing more like of a moderate activity, you should be able to have a conversation, whether this be, walking program or strengthening program, that you can have a conversation, but it's breathy. Whereas if you're getting more vigorous, that's where you can like barely talk. So definitely staying in that moderate zone, starting lighter, maybe doing more reps as opposed to going intensely, because this is something that's going to take time to gradually progress to get you back to your prior level of function. And this would be a case that if you felt like you needed some direction, more specific cues, modifications, techniques, or building a program, that's where it would be great to consult your provider or your physical therapist, that they can take individual measurements to see where you are and to also lay out a plan of care towards your goals, and working with your running coach on that.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's slow return to running. The walk run is maybe the biggest tool in the toolkit right here. Just really introducing slow running or strength work specifically and with intent, and then big recovery, right? So it's not just trying to catch up on fitness lost or trying to get into quote unquote shape. It really is that stepping of introducing a movement or a mileage, staying at that distance for a little bit, week or two, and then slowly moving up. And so having a really gradual stepping ladder to return to fitness. But that's a great question, Carmen, and good luck with your recovery and return to running. We can't wait to see you out there. All right, let's get to the next one. I love these questions, runners. Thanks so much for sharing them. All right, the next question is, how long strength training was required before the New York City Marathon. So we've got the New York City Marathon coming up, 14 weeks out, around 14 weeks out. I think we might be 15, 14, however you're counting it. What can folks be doing now that might benefit them on marathon day, the first Sunday in November?
So you're right in the sweet spot because physiologically strength gains take about 6 to 8 weeks. So you're in like a really great zone to kind of think about your goals of your strengthening program and then apply and implement them so you can work on whatever the goal is. If you want to maintain your strength and add 2 to 3 days a week of moderate compound movements to get your legs stronger, to get your core stronger, or if you're looking to improve your power or your endurance, where you're thinking about, once again, that lighter intensity, but more volume. So you build up that strength over time. You're right in the perfect window to do that. So it can have a positive and efficient effect on your running, preparing for the marathon.
I love it. That's like, it kind of feeds into this next question, which we have, which is how long does it take for results to show up if one were starting to work on core today? So, I think, how long do these quote unquote results, just so we can answer this runner as well, how long do these results take to show up?
So like I said, if we're looking like at objective strength measures, 6 to 8 weeks, but you can feel the effects of core strengthening as soon as a week or two. You'll definitely feel the effects in the first week of the soreness when you're doing it, correctly and implementing it, but you can feel benefits of it really soon in areas of balance, strength, coordination, stability. And what's great about core strength, it has carryover in so many different areas and systems in the body.
Absolutely. It's just a functional movement, but you're going to feel it and you're going to get the benefit from it everywhere. All right, we've got a question from Otto, which is, can I substitute mountain running, hill running for leg workouts? So what's your take on mountain running, hill running for leg workouts?
So it's kind of like comparing apples and oranges. Like, I think you're right that definitely mountain hill running is definitely a leg workout in it of itself. It's not as formal, structured, planned. I think you're definitely getting at strengthening. But I think for me, and I'm curious to hear your opinion on it, but I think it would be hard to measure what you're doing or gauge how you're strengthening, what you're strengthening, because you're really coming at so many different things, plus the impact that it's having on the cardiovascular system. But I love it. It's creative.
Yeah, and leg workouts, the truth is for runners, we're really focusing on the core, upper body, hips and pelvis stabilization, but running is a strength workout in and of itself. It is a leg workout. So you might not need to go to the gym and be doing leg presses or anything like that, unless that's part of your plan. Most runners can get their push and from. I'm having internet fun today, so hopefully I'm back now.
You're back.
All right, here we go. Thanks, y'all, for bearing with me. So hill running can be really great for building leg strength, but as you said, it's not one-to-one, apples to oranges, but it does build leg strength, which is why after you go for a very hilly run, you are fatigued to a much greater degree. So as a coach, I love it. Add those hills in there, get to work, but just know maybe it's not a one-for-one, as Ashleigh said. All right. Let's go to this question. Kim's got a question. It is about, hi from Norway. Hi, Kim, land of the Ingebrigtsen family and all their excellent running. Kim asks, what are your thoughts on training only in carbon-plated shoes? And so this is talking about the carbon fiber plate and shoes. I'm just going to take this one. You can do it if you want to and it's comfortable. These shoes have different levels of cushioning and they're really known for their rate of return on energy expenditure. So what you put into the ground, you get a little bit back. Sometimes they say there's a 3 to 6% improvement over a marathon distance, which is why we're seeing a lot of world records go down these days or be threatened to go down. You just want to make sure your carbon plated shoes are comfortable. They have cushioning, and they're not a secret weapon. They're really good on race day. They can help you with performance, but they're not necessarily something that's going to help you in your day-to-day training. So if you want to run them, you can run in them. They're very expensive, but make sure they're comfortable, cushioned, and I tend to save them for race day when they have the biggest impact. Most of the time, I'm just running in my trainers, which don't have a carbon fiber plate in there. So great question, Kim. All right, let's get to Dennis. Is it recommended to run and do strength training on the same day? Love this question. Ashleigh, what are your thoughts?
This is a great question. So ideally, no, but if you are, run before the strengthening and then tailor the strengthening to be a light day that maybe you're just isolating and doing just core or very, light body weight, very low level, but prioritize your run. At least that would be from me. How about you, Annick?
Yeah, I'm all about the prioritization of the run. You can do some strength work before and you can do some after. They're going to have different effects. You do it before, it sort of primes muscles, wakes them up. You do it after, you're kind of working with a little bit of fatigue in your legs, and it does something there. The point is that the strength work should not be intense on your running day. Prioritize the run. The strength work should be proportional and much less. So if you're like trying to do a bunch of I don't know, you're doing 20 squats, good luck on that run. It's going to hurt, and it's maybe going to make you run a little bit more tired than you need to be. So definitely prioritize the run. And if you do have a big strength day, like you've got squat day, love squat day, super important day, try and get that on a lighter running day, not your long run, not a workout. Put it on the lighter running day and prioritize the run, especially for our marathoning folks. All right. Here is a question from Ken. They ask, they're using the Run Coach app with the New York Road Runners, and the plan in the next few weeks has about 100K with a projected time of 3:39. So Ken, I'm going to tell you to read and ask. That's a great question, right? You want to be curious and you want to wonder why your training looks the way it does. They'll be able to answer that question for you. And if they need to adjust mileage, they can do that as well. So ask in the app and they'll give you either the reasoning behind it or they'll work with you to adjust. So the coaches are your friends. They love these questions. Hit them up and they'll get you a great answer. All right, we have Otto. Ooh, Otto with a hot take here. Love this one. As my long runs get longer, I've noticed a lot of fatigue in my arms and lats. What exercises would you recommend to target these areas as a runner, right? Because we always think of fatiguing in our legs, but I'm the same way, Otto. I get like upper back pain and exhaustion here and I do the turtle. Ashleigh, what do you think?
Definitely looking at I like to say the shoulder blades and the deep neck are like my second and third core of the body beyond the main core that we know of. So really working on scapular, those shoulder blade stabilizations, posture training. So that's your rows, your lat pull downs. If you're going to go into more compound movements of the upper body, like everyone will kind of think of like that push-up progression, you can start with simply doing it against the wall. The more upright you are, the less intense it is. And if you want to increase that intensity and work a little harder, the closer you lower that incline and eventually get down to the floor, you'll build up that strength to really address the shoulders, the arms, and the shoulder blades if you're working in those compound movements. Planks are great for this too, and especially if it's the long runs and we're picking at that endurance piece, getting your planks longer, starting on forearms and then getting up into high arms, high plank with the elbows extended. I think playing around with those things can really address the upper body because we don't want to forget about the upper half with running.
Absolutely. Great question. You want to stay strong up here. I love the extra core, your deep throat and I love that. The shoulder blades and the deep throat. You're right. It's like the signs that you're like, oh no, I need to spend more time developing my upper body strength. And as runners, if your upper body goes, your lower body goes, it's all part of the kinetic chain and you just need to have it all be strong. So definitely think about getting the areas that you pointed out, Otto, strong. Like think about actually developing some movement strength in there as well. I love that. Well, we're almost approaching our end here. So I've got some shout outs for us, Ashleigh. And then I'm going to ask you for one piece of advice that you would give someone who is thinking about introducing strength training into their running plan. So I'm going to do these shout outs and then we're going to come back to you with that great piece of advice before we sign off. All right, we have Olga who says, good morning. Good morning, Olga. It's great to have you here. We have a shout out from MD. I hope you're well. Would like to take part in your event. We hope you can join us in the future. We have a shout out from Coach Dorothy from TFK Team for Kids. Hi, Coach Dorothy. Thanks for joining us. Geraldine says hello. Sherry from the Bronx. Then we have Foxbox. Hi from England. Coming to you on November 6th. We're always delighted when our international runners can join us. Hello from Budapest. And then Laura says, I'm so excited to run the New York City Marathon. I think that's like 4 exclamation points. I love yoga, marathon training, and strength training 3 days a week after my runs. Laura, you got it dialed in. We love it. Thanks so much, Laura, for joining us. All right, Ashleigh, we're signing off here. One piece of advice that you would give new runners looking to add strength work to their plan.
I love cross training, and I think strength training is a great place to start. Start simple, making it part of your life and making it meaningful. Probably getting into that core strengthening if it's not in your program yet. I think implementing that will have so much carryover and generate so much more power, endurance, and strength that it will really help your running. But listen to your body. Rest is very important in recovery, and making sure to seek help, especially in these next 14 weeks. If something doesn't feel right or it's carrying over, making sure you see the appropriate provider.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Ashleigh, you are a fantastic expert. We hope you come back to join us again. Thank you for just dropping all the knowledge on us about strength training. And thanks to HSS for joining us for these chats. Y'all are the best. So runners, good luck on your runs. Add a little strength training. Take physical therapist Ashleigh's advice seriously, and you're going to see improvements in health and running. So Ashleigh, thank you for joining us, and we will see you all later next time, runners. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.